think I'm live. I think I'm live. Obviously, things are going to look a little bit different today, not only because Andy isn't here, but I'm really hoping now that we've had some tech issues. So, okay, got it. Okay, so hopefully we're live. Can I get a confirmation, please? Lauren, are you live? Can you all hear me? Yeah, sorry about the delay today, guys. We've had some tech issues. I can see we are live because we've got people joining in. Hello, Mickey Go. Hello, Kim. Tech problems. Can you all hear me, guys? Can you let me know if you can hear me okay? Hopefully you can hear me live. Okay, I've got confirmation that I'm live. I think you all can hear me, so I think we're ready to go. Can't hear too well. I wonder what I can do about that. Should be okay. As long as the sound is bad, the sound isn't too good, okay. Bear with me, guys. We do have some tech issues at the moment, so I'm desperately trying to get this worked. Talk amongst yourselves. As you can see at the moment, it's just me. So it seems like Andy's had his vaccination. He's not feeling too hot, and as a result, being left to do it on my own, the sound isn't that great. So I'm going to try and get this fixed. Yeah, I think I'm going to try a different pair of headphones. Thank you. Okay, any better, guys? Any better? Any sound at all? Keep the comments coming, guys. Keep the comments coming. Obviously, you know this is smooth. Okay, let's have a quick look. Okay, any better, guys? Any better? I wonder if this might actually help. Hopefully this is going to work a little bit better. It's typical, isn't it, that this is how smooth it goes. Okay, perfect. So this should be working, guys. Are we all good? Are we all got good sound? Getting comments here. Crank up the volume. Yes. Okay. All good. Here we go. Right. Let's get rid of this. So welcome to the Tuesday tune-in, albeit 10 minutes late and with some funny headphones. So yeah, it's all good that we're going to talk about kit today because already the equipment that I'm using to do the live has gone wrong. But guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for your patience. It's always stressful when you do it on your own. And of course, all the system problems in the world just come crashing down on me. But yeah, so just to let you all know, obviously things look a little bit different. The software we normally use to kind of go live has failed us. And also Andy had his vaccination yesterday. And as it turns out, Yetis don't respond too well to this vaccination. I don't think the Yeti testing protocol was quite up to speed. So he's feeling a little bit under the weather. But I've got him on my comments and stuff here. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be watching. But guys, yeah, welcome. So today, I thought, I'm on my own. What am I going to talk about? Left to my own devices. Obviously, I'm going to talk about kit, right? So, yeah, today, like I always say, we're going to talk a complete load of kit. I'm going to talk about some of the things that I've sort of learned on my trips and stuff like that. So, what equipment I actually use when I go to Kilimanjaro, Everest Base Camp, and all the other places. I'm going to cover off some things. We've had a couple of things about day packs come through. So I'll talk a little bit about the day packs that I use and, what they're like and what different ones I might use for different trips, what ones we sort of put to get my top 5 sort of things that I put in my day pack are for any trip. And yeah, we can go from there. And also, any questions, anything like that, give us a like, give us a thumbs up, post a question in here. It'll get fed to me via Lauren on the phones. And here's Andy as well. So I believe that might be an Andy comment as well. Yeah, it is Andy. Awesome. Shona bears, Maindel Bhutans. Yeah, we should. Do you know what? We should start like a painted Yeti bingo. You know, if I say like Maindel Bhutans and get someone's name wrong, you know, and mention my hair, then obviously that's EverTrek bingo, and I'll send you a buff or something. But yeah, awesome. So guys, I guess I've got no one to sort of talk to here, so I'm just going to keep rabbiting on. The first thing, so we're going to talk about is what boots do I favor on all of my treks. If I'm talking about trekking, if we're not talking about climbing, so I'm not going to be using crampons or anything like that. Maindel Boutans with the Trailblazer Superfeet insole. That's been sort of revolutionary for me. I suffer with like a little bit of a bad knee. It's mainly dust. So yeah, having those and having the stability and stuff like that makes a huge difference. So the other thing that I like to do as well is make sure that I'm tying them properly. Do you know what? I wish I brought a pair of boots with me because I could actually demonstrate the way I tie my laces again. In fact, Fee, I think there's a pair of boots over there. So I may even demonstrate the way I tie my boots again using a pair of the Scarpas that Andy, I believe, has very kindly taken with him. Oh no, they're over there. So we've got a pair of Scarpa boots here. So they're actually a pair of Andy's ones. The Scarpa, I think they're called Chamex or Chamanex or something like that. That's not me mispronouncing Chamonix. They are actually sort of that term. And here they are. Here's some we made earlier. So to move on for a little show and tell, these are actually Andy's latest boots. As you can see, he hasn't had a chance to get out and use them yet. But these are brilliant, and these are actually sort of crampon compatible for a C2. So these are C2 crampon. So they got the Welk at the back, so the cage actually will you've got a little lever and it kind of like locks in place, but the front will have a toe cage. And then you actually tie them up. And these potentially could be used for something. They're more of a lighter weight one, so they're actually quite a good hiking boot. But you'll see the difference if I can't even bend those. That's the difference really between sort of an unrated hiking boot. If that was the Maindel, I could bend it in half. Something like this is stiff. It's really a tool that you use for climbing the mountain. So probably not the best for actually hiking in. But if you're doing something like Chimborazo, Tupgal in winter, potentially even Island Peak and Mera Peak, this is the sort of boot you're going to be using. It's got like double insulation. It's really thick. It's really tough. But you don't really want to trek to the mountain in that. You're going to want to sort of have that in your bag. This is actually a really good boot because it's nice and light and stuff like that. So yeah, it's great. And I suppose what I'll do is demonstrate how I actually tie my boots, because normally, and this was shown to me by someone who I explained that I had some difficulties with. And the reason is because I kept having like my foot slipping. So one of the things that I like to do, let's see if I can get the boot there, is rather than just working my way up the boot like so, like so normally, that's how people would tie them and the knot would be at the top by there. But that's not how I actually tie mine anymore. So what I might do here, wrap it over, maybe even wrap it over again, close that tight, and with that there, that's not really going to move that much. It's not going to sort of untie. Then I'll bring it up to the top, cross over, do another one, and then another one, then bring it down, go around there like so. Then the knot actually sits in the middle of the boot. So by doing this here, that's how I lock my boots in. So, and then I'll obviously just tie it, there. So what that works with me is now that's proper locked in, but more importantly, the tension of the knot is actually on this part of my ankle, not the top part. So by having like the tension there, it means that my foot doesn't have a tendency to move forward. So yeah, that is a little show and tell. I've done it before, but we've had a few questions about it, so I thought that I would show it again. That's the way that I recommend tying your boots. There is probably as many ways to tie them as there are types of boots out there. But tying my boots that way really has made a difference with the support, particularly if you do suffer with bad knees, because one of the things is as you're going downhill, if your feet are constantly jarring or your feet are moving in the boot, basically that just goes straight up the leg and it'll find the problem. So if you have a bad knee or a bad hip or a bad back, that movement of your feet will find the problem and make it 10 times worse. So having that stability in the boot really does make a big difference. And honestly, I was even struggling coming down Penavan in some boots, a hill that I've been up and down hundreds of times. By changing the way that I tie my boot, by using the correct insoles and stuff like that, I came down killy, no problem at all. So yeah, it's a really, really good way to do it. So yeah, and see Paula Brewer, she locks hers the same way. Awesome, awesome. Ramona, Jerome. Do you know what? I really, really loved seeing your post, guys, by the way. I just to like little sidestep into something, the one thing that I know Andy, had a vision of was that we're not just a trekking company that's, just sells a product and that's that, customers come and customers go. We really wanted to create a solid community of people that were like us. And we felt like it was really coming there, and now actually now lockdown is over, and seeing people that had you guys had no idea that any other of that group that went hiking even existed, and then you've come to EverTrek, you've met each other, and now you're out in the mountains together doing some awesome trips. That's awesome. So yeah, great shout out to I know it was Ramona and Jerome, and I know there were some others. I think there was a Fazakali or two out there as well. Yeah, call me out if I didn't. Yeah, if I forgot you. Lord James saying I don't use laces, I use duct tape. Mate, I've done that a few times myself as well. Always have duct tape. In fact, that might lead me on to the top 5 things that I actually put in my day pack. Now, obviously, what I carry in my day pack will change depending on sort of where I'm going and what I'm doing. But there are some things that are just always in my day pack. In fact, they never leave my day pack until I have to replace them. And these things are like sort of, the 5 type of essentials that I really just like really, really just can't do without. Sometimes I don't even use them, but the peace of mind of knowing that these things are there really does make a big difference. And actually, you've bumped into the first one, which is duct tape. So gorilla tape, duct tape, anything like that, it fixes everything. I've fixed rucksacks, I've used it as laces, I've used it to prevent blisters before. I cut my finger and I wrapped it in duct tape to keep it there. That it really is something that I think every hiker should have in their backpack, because it'll fix everything. I once had a strap break here, so like you couldn't use the bag anymore, and yeah, I just held it together, duct taped it, and it was fine. And it was really, really good. Yeah, hello to Millie as well, just tuned in. Awesome. Realize I haven't done many shout outs today as well, so hope we got on you. Obviously Ramona, Kim Lawley as well. Hey, how's it going? Oh yeah, she also used good for heel stability. Yep, of course. Charlotte, Blackwood has similar for winter. Awesome. Doug, hey, how's it going? Doug Smith's actually one of our sort of long-time EverTrekkers, did the EBC with us way back in the beginning and Killy with us in February. He's got those boots. He bought them back in January. Good boots, but he hasn't tried crampons on them yet. Tukbal in November. Yeah, mate, you'll get up Tukbal and definitely have them. Who else have we got? Leah, awesome. Andy Wales. Oh, Andy, yep, you were there as well, when it is Jerome watching. He had lead boots on yesterday. Was that you hanging about at the bit of a back, mate? That's okay. I once saw an article where it was a line of wolves like walking, and it kind of broke down where the pack was, and the alpha, he was at the back making sure that everyone was okay and going in the right direction and calling instructions and stuff. Oh, Francina, how's it going? Great to see you again. Francina's one. I've been talking to her and her daughter Sophia for a while. I believe it's Sophia. Francina, if I get that wrong, then I owe you a pint. Or Sophie. Sophie. I'm going to go with Sophie. So that's half a pint, I think. Yeah, so back onto the topic. So yeah, my top 5 things. So one of them is duct tape. The other one is sunglasses. I always have 2 pairs with me because I can't afford to lose them. If any of you, Lord Ashley, I'll come back to those keens in a minute. But yeah, if any of you guys have been trekking at altitude and stuff like that, the UV rays is something that I actually, quite consider. I remember reading Into Thin Air, and John Krakauer was talking about his hike to base camp, and one of the things that he talked about was actually getting sunstroke because of the strong UV rays at altitude. And I read that book years before I ever went there, so for some reason it kind of just stuck in my head that I need to protect myself from the sun. And having sort of sensitive eyes anyway. Sophie, okay, half a pint because I said Sophia. Yeah, so yeah, so I was really conscious of that fact. So one of the glasses that I usually wear are Jublos. They're really, really good. They're designed for sort of outdoors, glacial travel, high rays and stuff like that. So I definitely have a pair of them, and then I'll probably have just a pair of just regular sunglasses. But they'll both be in the back. They make a huge difference. And honestly, protecting your eyes, particularly if you are on a glacier. So I'm thinking if there's high sun and you're doing the Patagonia ice fields trek or something like that, that sun reflecting into your eyes, you're going to need those sunglasses. They're deadly important, or vitally important, I should say. Yeah, the other one, moving on there, believe it or not, right, it always lives on my keys as well. And this is kind of weird. See this here, this little thing here? That is brilliant if you're on like a multiple week, 2, 3 week expedition. It is actually nail clipper. It makes a massive difference. I'm telling you, the amount of times I talk to people who have lost toenails and stuff like that, and look, that weighs nothing. It just sits on my keys, and then it goes in my backpack when I'm out trekking, particularly on 2 to 3 weeks, because at the end of 2 weeks, everyone's nails are probably in need of a trim. And if you're still sort of going down, particularly, the last part of the trip seems to be always downhill. There's always, well, I say not always, but there's usually a lot of downhill towards the end of any high altitude trip. Just you've got to lose that altitude somewhere, and having these make a huge big difference, because you don't want to damage your feet and anything like that. It's one of the one reasons that people sort of end up hobbling, and to feel fine, to have acclimatized perfectly well, to not avoid all the sickness and just be feeling really strong, and then not be able to walk because you've torn a nail or something like that. That's, yeah, not great. But always have one of them. um yeah, let's have a look. Oh, Andy McNaughton, and spare sunglasses just in case you break the jublo. Exactly, mate. Just what I was saying. Always have two pairs, because to be fair, jublos are a bit expensive, so I don't actually have two pairs of them. But I'll have just a regular pair of sunglasses sitting in the back, because if you do break them, it really does just sort of ruin your whole trip, because not having them. I mean, to be honest, most of the time we can find, usually find you a pair. Someone in the group will have a spare set, but by bringing your own and being a bit self-reliant makes a big difference. So yeah, so we've covered off nail clippers, vitally important. We've covered off duct tape. The other one that I'll always carry with me at all times is the sunscreen. Again, you don't really have to be sunburnt to be sort of affected by the sun. A lot of these trips as well, particularly it became when we were on Kilimanjaro back in February, one of the guys we went with, Steve, he really suffered with the sun. So when we went up Kilimanjaro, it never really felt like you were getting sunburnt. There was always a little bit of a breeze and stuff like that. But again, the high altitude, the sun's UV is a lot stronger as you kind of get higher. So it does make a big difference. And putting on that sunblock makes a real big difference. One of the ones that I always use as well is like full factor 90,000 sunblock. Whatever the strongest one is the one I go for. I'm not interested in getting a tan when I'm going to EBC. I'm only interested in, making sure that I don't burn and I don't get too negatively affected by the sun. He burnt his hands. He was actually filming the event for us. So if any of you have seen Kilimanjaro the long way, our sort of film about it, he was the guy that did all the filming. But because his hands were always up holding the camera, they were exposed to the sun, and yeah, he got his hands really did burn. I'll find a photo of them actually and put it up on social media and be, this is why you need sunscreen, and yeah, and stuff like that. um Let's have a look. So the next one. So is it an Aussie thing? I actually don't know many people that have been bitten. Oh, okay. So one of the things I think we're talking about here is bug spray and stuff like that. Do you know what? I usually buy it there in country, but I don't like the strong DEET stuff. So it sort of I had it on my hands one time when I like rubbed my face and all my lips blistered up. So I try and avoid the DEET and use other stuff. I did try some. Was it? I think it was like the oil of Olay, but I think it's Ulay now or something. They had like this citronella, like it was like a moisturizer with lots of like this citrus stuff in it, which is apparently supposed to be really good. And actually, a long time ago in a past life, I used to work construction on the railway, so being outdoors all the time, and that was like sworn by all the guys on the railway. It makes a big difference. So yeah, covered off sunscreen. That's vitally important. The other one, which is kind of always there, is any sort of medication and stuff like that that I might need. Basically, what I'm saying is a little first aid box. Now, it should go without saying that all of our guides, on all of our trips, always have really, really good, like first aid kits. They're trained to use them. They have a lot of specialist stuff as well to cater for things like, Diamox and things like that. But, in my one, it's pretty basic. I call it the Brad Pitt kit because, it's one of the ones that'll help you if you get a bit of a tummy ache as well. That's it. Skin So Soft. That's it. Laura Otter. Awesome. Skin So Soft. That's the one. Everyone used to go on about it on the railway and stuff like that and talk a lot about how really, really good it was. I used it and I don't ever recall being bitten that bad. So I think that's it. So yeah, I've kind of plugged the oil of Olay there, haven't I? So yeah, send me some free stuff if you can. Jokes. But yeah, so yeah, that's really good. Do you know what? Okay, just based on all the conversations, I'm going to throw it in. Oh, it's an Avon product. Okay, so I've actually I've actually messed that up. But yeah, so yeah, I'm going to throw it in then. Okay, so we'll put that in. But yeah, let's have a quick look. So getting Skin So Soft is Avon and it's awesome. Yeah, a lot of people correcting me. As you can tell, I haven't bought any skin products door to door for a very, very long time. And when I did that was all wrong. Yeah, so again, moving on, the other thing that I always put in there as well is one of those rain ponchos. I actually forgot all of my waterproofs when I went to Kilimanjaro. Full disclosure, not everything goes well. Even being vastly experienced, you can be really silly. And all of my waterproof gear was all in one separate bag. And when I packed, for some reason, it didn't end up in there. Being on Kilimanjaro as well, you always have like these little showers in the afternoon and things like that. And yeah, that little like tiny £2.50 poncho that I had made a massive difference. Yeah, it really, really did take the edge off. Yeah, and let's have a quick look now for midges. I look at what's it called? Cubby's Midge Salve. Oh, and apparently you can get Skin So Soft on Amazon as well. It's on special offer. So yeah, check that out, guys. I love it how these, you never know which direction these lives are sort of going to go in. It seems like Avon, they've got quite a good following in the trekking community. I wonder if they even know. But yeah, mini umbrella is good to keep in your kit. James, I don't even know if you're joking about that, but I actually am in favor. Andy will actually tell you a story of the time when we went to EBC together in 2017. We went a bit early in September and hit the monsoon. And walking down from Lukla, we got to Facting, perfect weather. Had lunch, leaving Facting to go to Lukla on the last day. Few spots of rain. Within 10 minutes, full monsoon downpour, just completely drenched. Rivers running through the streets. It was insane. And being the martyr that I am, I gave my waterproof jacket away to one of the customers that didn't have one and thought I'll be okay. I'm a hardcore trekker. I hadn't trekked through monsoon rain like that before. So yeah, I walked into this little shop, found a Nepalese guy who had a stall, and I was like, find me an umbrella. I have all the money. And so yeah, I literally walked from pretty much Facting to Lukla with a little umbrella like a tour guide. Yeah, amazing. And so yeah, don't regret it. But needless to say, when I did arrive at Lukla a little bit late and Andy saw me with the umbrella, he had a few choice words for me. Like he didn't factor into the hardcore trekking image, I don't think. But yeah, I was really happy with it. So do you know what? This is like the reverse Room 101. That's what I should have called it. So rather than throwing things in to get rid of, we're going to put things in the Yeti's day pack, okay? So I should have started that from the beginning, shouldn't I? So what's going in the Yeti's day pack, guys? So we've got mini umbrellas, we've got duct tape, we've got sunscreen, we've got spare sunglasses, we've got pretty much everything. So yeah, recommendations for the Yeti's backpack, please. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so what I'll do now, I think I'll move on and actually take some questions, I think, because without Andy to kind of sort of direct me, I might have a tendency to like rabbit on a little bit. But yeah, let's have a quick look. So the first question is from Andrew Corran. So he's booked the Ultimate Island Peak and EBC trip in April 2022, and his questions regarding drinking water. Good question. Is the water available from the tea houses filtered, or does it need additional treatment, purification tablets, etc.? So This is going to be a long list of the longest list of five ever. Yeah. Thanks, John. Yeah, I really appreciate your comments. Yeah, so all of our water on all of our trips is given to you purified and safe to drink. We're really quite proud of this, actually, that early on, and as was done for decades, the way to purify water was you get it from a local water source. That can be, a tap in a lodge, or it can be glacial runoff. Most of the time, it's glacial water that's then melted, boiled, and given out. And then we would then further purify that with the chlorine tablets or chlorine drops. Now, the problem with that is that it does make the water safe to drink, but it's not immediately safe to drink. It can take 15, 20 minutes, and it tastes kind of rubbish, and you can get a bit of heartburn and stuff like that, and acid reflux from the chlorine. So we decided to invest in these water filters, and I'm really proud to say that we were one of the first companies, if not the first, to actually introduce this sort of company-wide in the Khumbu, in Nepal, and all of our guides now are equipped with these filters, and they purification filters that filter out 99.99999% of everything. They do a lot more than the chlorine drops as well, because they don't just get rid of all the like bacterias and viruses and stuff, but all of like heavy metals and dirt that might actually make the water taste horrible. And we trialed that out, and yeah, they worked absolutely brilliant. So yeah, that's what you'll be given. The only exception would be a Gorekshep, where the water is like often, frozen, or it's not very sanitary at all. Um, and so what we tend to do then is encourage people only there to drink the bottled water, just because it's always better to, you look after yourself first and stay safe and healthy. So yeah, that's the only time that we'll do that. So yeah, just diving into the comments here. Zinc oxide tape. Do you know what? Brilliant. Yeah, really good stuff. It was used on Kili by quite a lot of people who had some blisters and stuff like that. So yeah, really good for blisters. Another thing to always have in the bag is sweets. Do you know what, John? That might have been my number five. My little pick-me-ups. So when I go to EBC, I'll get those like drumsticks, those little sweet drumsticks, and you can just have one of them. One of them will last 15 minutes, is great. And they do make a big difference when you need them. So yeah, little sweets, little pick-me-ups and stuff like that. A lot of people drink like energy tablets and stuff, or use gels. But I also like the dextro energy things. It's just basically like pure sugar, pure glucose really, but it gives you a real kick, and it can be the difference between bonking and just like kind of hitting the ground hard, or having them as well. Okay, move on to another question from, I believe this is Bella. Quick question. She's interested in a trip. Do we pack normal suitcases and then condense everything into the duffel bags when you're about to go on the trek? If this case, where do you leave the non-trek stuff? So yeah, so you can arrive, say you're going on EBC, you can arrive in Nepal with just a normal suitcase, and then we will give you your EverTrek duffel bag. You transfer everything you have into the EverTrek duffel bag, and then go to the trip, and everything that's left will be securely locked away in the hotel for your return. And when I say secure, I mean very secure. It's really difficult to actually get at it. Not even I can get access to it, even if I need to. It's really secure and safe there. In Kilimanjaro, and Tanzania and some of our other destinations, we haven't quite got the bags supplied yet in the number that we can give out. So you are able to rent them, but the same principle applies. You can turn up with a suitcase, put everything into the duffel bag, even if you have to rent it, and then store everything there safely. And do we pack for 15 kilos? Well, in the UK, so no. Most international airlines, you have about 30 kilos, that sort of thing. But 15 kilos is the weight limit for when you're on the trip, and that's for all of your gear. That was one of the other points I was perhaps going to touch on, which was I do get a lot of questions saying, 15 kilos, how am I going to pack for that? Honestly, it really can be done if you just pack smart. You don't need 5 of everything. You don't need 3 fleeces. You don't need, 20 base layers and 2 types of rain jacket and stuff like that. A lot of people tend to overpack because they're not sure what they're going to need, and that's completely normal. But actually, I think that you need to just remind yourself that although you are going to a remote part of the world, you do have the support of your guides. You can ask those people what you need and what you can leave out. And I can pack everything down to 15 kilos now on every trip that I go on. 15 kilos, everything included, nice and easy. I might cheat and wear some of my heavier stuff, but yeah, that's what you need. Niaz as well is booked for Kili and has a question on kit. What kit do we carry with us and what kit do the guides carry? Do we have any recommendations for head torches? So basically, you will carry all of the day stuff that you need so on any hike that you go on. So waterproof jacket, snacks, the top 5 things that I've said there. And yeah, and that's pretty much, it, camera, water, snacks, waterproof, and maybe an insulation layer as well. And then all of the other stuff. So everything else. So say you're carrying, 5, 7 kilos in your rucksack, the remaining, 10 kilos or whatever is in your duffel bag, and that's what the guides are going to carry for you, the porters are going to carry for you. So you'll see that bag in the morning and you'll see that bag in the evening for the rest of the night, but then during the day the porters, they're gone and up the hill, and everything you need is in your backpack. The guides will also give you a little bit of advice as well. Every night, no matter what trip you're on, you'll have a little brief about the following day. So if the guides know, it's going to be cold, they'll give you advice on what to pack in your day pack. So you don't have to worry about anything. Any recommendations on head torches? I use a black diamond head torch. The Petzl Tika is quite really popular as well. I recommend a battery powered one rather than sort of a USB powered one, because charging them can be quite difficult if they are a USB only. But rechargeable batteries are often quite good because they'll last the whole trip, but you don't have to throw them away. So yeah, hopefully that's all good for you, Niaz. Let's have a quick look now. Any questions coming on now? So Heidi, um, so a recommendation for a good thermal layer, worried about being cold. Good thermal layer is, to be honest, your down jacket is the best thermal layer that you'll actually have. So when you're on Kili and in your sleeping bag, if you are cold, you can put your down jacket on, and that's normally enough to keep anyone warm while they're in a bag. To be honest, I use a Rab mid-layer fleece. It's quite lightweight because I tend to run quite hot. But something like a 200 weight sort of fleece is going to be really, really, kind of warm. The Polartec line stuff as well tends to be really warm. To be honest, I think you shouldn't really rely ever on one piece of kit to kind of keep you comfortable in any scenario. It's all about layering. The same thing goes for when you sleep. So you have your sleeping bag, you can get a sleeping bag liner that can make a difference. And then it's about like adding layers to the body. So if it is really cold, you can sleep with gloves on, with a neck warmer and a down jacket. And almost always that's enough to keep people, perfectly warm on Kili. The temperatures never get too extreme that you have to worry about anything other than what I've mentioned. So yeah, hopefully that's good. Let's moving on. So a couple of comments coming in as well, guys. So Laura Otter, what sleeping bag would you recommend for Kili? I use a Rab Ascent 700, which I use for EBC and Kili. For me, it hits that sweet spot where it's perfect for all of those types of trips. I would say 3 to 4 season is going to be enough, and then you can kind of go one way or the other depending on whether you run hot or cold. So if you run really hot and you're kind of like me and you tend not to need so much insulation, 3 to 4 is fine. And then if you really do you are cold and you're worried about the cold, you can get 4 and then 4 extreme and stuff like that. So maybe that can help you. Dave, lightweight boots. I only use the Maindels are really good. They are quite heavy. The Hoka One boots, they're really super lightweight and super cushy. So if you want a lightweight boot that's like super cushioning and stuff like that and impact absorbing, check out the Hoka Ones. They're really, really good. I struggled to find a size that worked for me, but I didn't play around with insoles or anything like that. But yeah, Hoka One, try those ones. Super lightweight, super cushioning. They're not crampon compatible, they are just hiking boots, but yeah, they're really, really good. Lots of fell runners use them actually because they are, really super lightweight, but like I say, very cushioning. And let's have a look. So Mark Toyne, EBC, can we charge the electrical gear at each tea house? The answer is yes and no. So yes, you can. They do charge for it, so I would recommend bringing your own power bank because it will save you quite a bit of money. Charging it at every lodge can get expensive, but also as you get higher in altitude, a lot of the electricity is solar powered. So if there's a bit of bad weather and stuff like that, the power can just shut off, and then you've got no option then but to rely on stuff that you bought yourself or the generous donations from friends who have a power bank with you. So yeah. Let's have a quick look now. So Wayne Smith scheduled to go to the Himalayas on the 1st of October. Awesome, mate. In aid of the Alder Hey Children's charity. You've been issued a general list of items, clothing, etc. But is there any special items which would help me along the way, which could have been missed off the list by the charity? Um, all of the things that I mentioned earlier about putting in the bag, they will be helpful for you. Hopefully, you would have been given a sort of all-inclusive sort of list. I'd need to see the list really to see if there's any glaring omissions. But generally speaking, most sort of trekking lists that you're given specifically will get you there or thereabouts. But if there's anything you're particularly worried about, drop me a message and I can glance over it and see if there's any glaring omissions for you. Awesome. Let's have a quick look now. So Kath Jones, I've booked for the Chimborazo trek. Awesome, Kath, you're gonna love it. In February 2023, really like lightweight boots due to the back and hip injuries. Yep, I hear you. But can I get such a thing to use with crampons, or do I need full expedition boots? So this boot might actually be a good recommendation for you. This is, although it's a really stiff and it is crampon compatible, it is a lighter weight boot. So that, it's not going to be as light as a lightweight trekking boot, but it's not going to be as heavy as a full-on, high altitude mountaineering boot. So yeah, this is actually a really, really good boot. And I'm going to try and find the name of it. Doug, if you're listening, can you do it? So it's the Scarpa Charmoz, Charmoz, Scarpa Charmoz HD. Try that there. Scarpa are really, really good. You can't go wrong with these boots. They really know what they're doing. They're tried and tested. And this is probably more of a lightweight one. What I'd be more concerned is if you wanted a lightweight pair of hiking boots, to have a pair of crampon compatible boots that fit you and are comfortable in the bag, and you can kind of chop and change when you need to. When you have to have the crampons on, you can put these on. When you don't need them, you can put on the lighter weight hiking boots. So a lot of our trips with the mixed stuff like that, you can sort of chop and change. Andy McNaughton Jones, how's it going, buddy? How wide is the toe box on that boot? These are actually pretty wide. I haven't got the exact specs, but Scarpa, although they're sort of an Italian make, they tend to be wide enough. I suffer with the wide boots, so the La Sportiva boots, they're always too narrow for me. But Scarpa actually seem to be really good, and I run a wide foot. So I will have to find out exactly what the actual dimensions are. But just from a general speaking, they're quite wide, well, wide enough for me, and I run wide anyway. So that's just, feet up. Awesome. Gonna move on to some more questions now. Let's have a quick look. So Charlotte Blackwood, you have a 3 to 4 season sleeping bag that says down to -2. Will that sleeping bag liner make this warmer on a cold night? Yes, it will. -2 is more, I would say, more 3 than 4 season. Remember, I say 3 to 4 can be, it is a bit of a spectrum. So some of them are closer to 3, some of them are closer to 4. If that's the extreme temperature, so that's like it'll keep you alive temperature, that's going to be, a really 3. If it's a -2 comfortable, then I would say, yeah, a liner and -2 comfortable is going to be good for stuff like Kili and EBC. But yeah, probably that's going to be more closer to a 3 season than a 4. Let's have a quick look now. Do porters carry some of the hikers kits on Everest treks, or do the trekkers carry all their kit? That's from Barbara. All of our trips are porter and guide supported, for a number of reasons. First of all, it makes things a lot easier for people like us to be able to achieve those trips. Some people do choose to carry their own bags, not on our trips, but on others. and the success rate drops significantly because adjusting to altitude while putting the body under such demand is going to be, really it's not going to help you acclimatize. Secondly, we do like to give back to the community, so providing jobs for those porters, supporting them, supporting their progression through to being guides and stuff like that makes a big difference for their future, makes a big difference for the future of our trekkers as well. So, and it's really great to see some of the porters that you might get to know and see carrying bags, you might see on the trails a year or two later acting as an assistant guide and better language skills and stuff like that, and providing them an education and a job is super important. So to be honest, even if we didn't need them to carry it, we still probably would, because it's the right thing to do. Yeah, awesome. Having a look. Oh, Charlotte's come back. Her bag is extreme -8, so that's going to be fine. So extreme, really, you want to look at the comfort one primarily because that's what you can have the bag in. It can be -2 around you. You're in the bag. You're comfortable. -8 is it'll keep you alive at -8. So yeah, awesome. Let's have a quick look here. So Andrea wanted to book in for Island Peak next April. Just wanted to revisit the kit needed for that element of the trek. Do you hire boots, crampons, ice axes, etc., to save on luggage and weight? If so, what boots do you recommend? Or do you have to bring your own? What boots do you recommend? So you can rent everything that you need from Island Peak Base Camp. Well, actually, it's from Chakung, which is just right by Island Peak, just up from Dingboche. So you can rent everything that you need, including boots if you want, to go to the summit of Island Peak, and that's for the whole summit and down again. The boots, if you want to bring your own, you can. Some people like to bring their own because if you can't find a pair of boots that are really comfortable, that summit of Island Peak and back down again is going to be a long, drawn-out process for the feet. So, yeah, I think would perhaps recommend bringing my own. Again, something like this is more of the lightweight option, but you're thinking B2 upwards. There are some boots that are specific for 6,000-meter Himalayan peaks. They've got the outer plastic layer and stuff like that. But you definitely want a C2 at least, so you've got the crampon well at the back. You can see that little ledge there. That's where the crampon will fit onto with the cage on the front. That'll give you a much secure fit for things like Island Peak. Other crampons like a C1, they have the cage at the back and the cage at the front, but that does allow for some movement, so probably not as secure as you would need. So hopefully that's all good. Let's have a quick look. So moving on now to all the questions. Hopefully my sound is still pretty good as well. Okay, yeah, getting some advice now on the scarvers and stuff like that. Awesome. So Chris Ray has asked, what about SIM cards for the EBC trip? Price and how many? So SIM cards. This is an interesting one. So I've been to EBC many a time, and I've never bothered buying a SIM card. I usually just use a data pack and stuff like that for when I'm in Kathmandu. When you're on the mountain, that's pretty much the longest time you're in Nepal for, is when you're in the mountain. So when you're in Kathmandu, there's plenty of Wi-Fi around in all the cafes and bars and hotels, so you don't really need a SIM card for that. You can do Wi-Fi calls and stuff really easily. When you're in the mountain, I recommend, instead of getting the SIM cards, buying the scratch cards that you scratch off. It gives you a little password that you can go on to the Everest Link Wi-Fi system, and you can use those. So Everest Link is a shared Wi-Fi system pretty much from Namche onwards, and join in on that then with that scratch card. Buy it in Namche, and you can get like a 20 gig or 30 gig, I think, which is enough for the whole trip. So usually what I'll do is get to Namche, buy a scratch card, scratch it off. That's going to last me then for the rest of the trip, so I can get on Wi-Fi and send messages and stuff like that. If you do want to get a SIM card, you have to, Leah, was that just a dog? If you want a SIM card, you do have to like hand over some documents and properly get it registered, and you need a phone that'll accept it and stuff like that. So it can be done. There's loads of telecommunication shops all around Kathmandu. So you just literally walk in and ask for a local SIM card that'll work with your phone, and yeah, easy as that. Price, not entirely sure. It depends on the what you want to do. So yeah, Rosie Danes. Oh my God, Wi-Fi on the mountain. Never expected that. What about Kili? There is no Wi-Fi on Kili. Definitely no signal for the first 4 days, and for the second 4 days, you will get some signal as well. So on your phone, you can get 3G, 4G, and stuff like that. And I did make a few calls. So yeah, always worth getting that. If you're on Vodafone, I think it's £5 a day, and then you get to use your normal allowance. So it is quite expensive, but nowhere near as expensive as most roaming stuff. And Leah, yeah, that was a dog. That was Penny the Ever dog. I don't know where she's gone now, but she might be going, here, Penny. No, I'm not going to make weird dog cally sounds on the live, but she is around somewhere. Yeah, she's great. Okay, let's have a quick look now. Carrie Swepson, what size day pack would you recommend? And would a 2 litre bladder be enough? So, do you know what? This question comes around a lot, and it's quite interesting. So, 25 to 35 litre day pack. That's a really good ballpark. I tend to perhaps use towards the smaller. If you asked Andy, he would use towards the larger. I think the 30 litre Osprey Talon is a perfect starting place. It's pretty much a do-it-all bag for all the trips. And a 2 litre bladder is going to be, really, really enough for you because you're going to have plenty of water in the morning. You're going to have plenty of water in the evening when you're in camp. You just need enough water to get you through the day. You'll also have a lunch stop where we can top the water up. So there's no need to carry like a 3, 4, 5 litre bladder with you full of water because each litre of water is a kilo. So be conscious of that. I use a 1.5 litre or a 2 litre bladder depending on which bag I'm using. And yeah, that's enough for when I'm walking, and I'll top up the rest later. Penny. Oh, sorry, nearly got a little dog for you there. Awesome. So yeah, having a quick look. So yeah, Ramona took a conference call on the way to EBC with a scratch card. Ramona, why are you taking conference calls in EBC? Come on now, it's supposed to be a trip to get away from work. But then I know what you're like with a lovely old building. You can't stay away. Um, awesome. So Peter Fuller, are portable solar power banks any use? I've not used any. Andy's tried out a few. Um, they're a bit hit and miss, really. The last ones I tried, they weren't top of the range. They charged my stuff a little bit, but again, where we're going, the weather's quite changeable. So if there's cloud in the sky and that lasts for 2, 3 days, then you're going to go 2, 3 days without a charge. So I always rely on the power banks initially that I'll bring with me. The good thing is as well, I can use them over and over and over again. I've had the same ones for years, and they're just really reliable. I use the Anchor power bank, and it really depends. Some people go away and they turn their phone off and they don't want to use it. I like to stay a little bit connected, or at least I like to have the option to stay connected. If I need to, send some pictures or do some updates with people that are really excited about my trip. I know a lot of you guys will be in the same situation. That can be, really nice thing to do as well, and also to let your family know that you've made it down okay. Haley Brimble, is merino wool itchy? I don't think so. I think it's fine. Some people might say it is, but I think it depends on the brand. So I've ordered a lot of icebreaker stuff, which is quite expensive again. You could be looking at 30, 40 quid for a base layer, but it's really good. I run hot, which means I sweat a lot. So the merino wool for me is perfect. It's revolutionary. So yeah, I don't think it's itchy at all. But I guess it depends on your skin. Use some Skin So Soft. um, let's have a look. Kathy Baldwin has said, skin so soft has changed the ingredients, so now no longer suitable for insects. That is terrible. Terrible, terrible news. Yeah, so back to the D it is, I guess. Okay, so I think that's pretty much caught up now, unless Lauren gives me a little elbow in the ribs that I've missed something out. But yeah, having a look at this. Thanks for trying, Dave. Might have to send over some Scooby snacks for Penny. Oh, Leah, as well. I don't know if I've actually shown you this as well. But up here, see my little trinkets. Can you see it, Leah? Can you see it? There. This is really difficult. I'm not a weatherman. That was sent all the way from Australia. I'm not going to do the accent. That would be rude. But yeah, I tend to keep everything that people send. And actually, the other thing that I might point out as well, whilst we're sort of plugging things that people have sent in, by the way, you don't have to send stuff in. Ramona's incredibly talented partner, Gaz, has sent me through some really awesome CDs. I won't actually listen to this one, but it was really good. Sort of like acid rock sort of stuff, it's really, really good. So yeah, sent me those. Brilliant. I listen to them in the car all the time. Yeah, awesome. See, look, so cool. No worries. Yeah, Leah, I loved it. It was great. I had no idea what was in there, but we got all the coasters out there where we have lunch and everything like that. I think we had a name for the koala, but I can't remember what his name was. But I guess I'll put that open to the group, right? Who wants to name the koala? Awesome. But guys, I think I've caught up with everybody's questions. I'll give it a couple of minutes just to be sure that I haven't missed anyone. But if anyone's got any last minute things they want to get in, just let me know. Again, thank you very much. I need a drink so bad. It's really, really different doing it like when there's just one person. I'm used to Andy being there and, asking me questions and poking me and, Dave, say that, so to do it on my own tends to, I feel like I'm rabbiting on, but hopefully it's been good. Um, I can see guys as well. So Kumbu the koala it was. Shona, that was it. I knew we named him. Do you know what? I'm actually going to have to get a new sign made. So Fee, I think we need to get a new sign made. So as you can see, Betty the Yeti has a sign made. I need one for Kumbu the koala. So we actually have a good sign man. It's also known as Fee's fella Tom. So yeah, awesome. You missed mine. I will ask it next week. Lee, what was it? Ask it now. We've got time. I'm gonna find it if you don't ask it again, and then I'm gonna forcefully answer it. So Lee, where are you? I can't see it, Lee. Can you ask it again, please? And I shall get it done. Um, because I try to get everyone's in, but sometimes, I just don't quite get them through. But anyway, yeah, so let's have a look. Jerome, Matt, Kathy, Haley. There we go. Lee, okay, I've got it. You're traveling to Kili and you want to take your rucksack on the flight with me. Say if I have 5 kilos in my rucksack, can I only pack 10 kilos in my case? Is that correct? I can't get my head around this. Right. Okay, so when you're going to Kili, on the international flight, you can take as much as you want. 15 kilos is the limit that you need when you actually go on the trek, and it's about looking after the porters and the weights that they carry. So you can take your rucksack on with you. I usually take my rucksack on with me as my sort of hand luggage on the flight. But I honestly, yeah, I don't know what the weight is. Often, what, 7 to 10 kilos for hand luggage, something like that. But you can pack like as much as 20, 30 kilos altogether. That's totally fine. When you get to the hotel in Tanzania, the night before the trek, you're going to be packing the duffel bag and getting it all ready. There's a weigh-in scale right by the hotel, and you can go there and make sure that it's the correct weight. And then usually what happens is you go there, you hang it on the hook, you weigh it, 22 kilos. Awesome. Now I need to lose 7 kilos. So then you go back and you have a look at what you've got in there. Okay, do I need 5 packs of Haribos? No, I'll take 1. Okay, do I need 4 jackets? No, I'll take 1. And you can usually whittle it down that sort of way. Yeah, it's quite amazing the stuff that people actually want to take on these trips. But guys, that's been awesome. I think hopefully that was it and I answered it. If I didn't, feel free to ask it next week or send me an email, and I'll get back to you right away. Guys, it's been awesome. Thank you very much for tuning in. Normal service will resume next week with the head Yeti with me as well. Otherwise, take care, have an awesome day, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.